egos in the room. I'm doing it for the 200 million people watching around who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires. And freedom of speech is so important these days. I've reached the age now where I don't care anymore. It's a sin. Not to joke about all the bad things, that's a waste. Because that's exactly what we should do.
Gervais is fearless, taking on the woke culture like no one else. He exposes hypocrisy, mocks virtue signaling, and challenges cancel culture's grip. Love him or hate him, he refuses to back down.
200 egos in the room. I'm doing it for the 200 million people watching around who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires. And freedom of speech is so important these days. I've reached the age now where I don't care anymore. It's a sin. Not to joke about all the bad things, that's a waste. Because that's exactly what we should joke.
Jerry doesn't tiptoe around hot-button issues. He dives straight in, unapologetically breaking down the absurdities of woke culture. He's a comedian who refuses to follow society's unwritten rules, where being offended holds power and disagreeing is almost forbidden. For Jerry, offense is a personal issue, not a rule everyone has to live by. His comedy thrives on tackling taboos and exposing hypocrisy, making him a fearless truth-teller. Love him or hate him, his refusal to hold back is what sets him apart. As he puts it, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right.
Do what they want. And you know what, I can, you know, I see all these people saying all the parties they were having and what all the stuff they were doing. And people were saying, you know, that was the day I couldn't see my mum in hospital, or I couldn't go to my dad's funeral. And because the people in charge, the posh, privileged people in charge, were acting like Charlie Sheen. I mean, really rubbing salt in the wound. And I say, I don't get...
In one sentence, Ricky Gervais' philosophy is clear. In a world where people weaponize their feelings, he flips the script. He's quick to remind us that feelings are personal, subjective, and often irrational. Some people, for example, are offended by equality itself. Should their outrage decide what's normal? Jerry mocks this idea because it's so absurd. If every offended person got to set the rules, comedy would cease to exist. And for him, a world without comedy is a world without truth. He argues that free speech isn't just a right, it's a responsibility. He won't cater to the egos of a few when millions are watching from their homes. To him, comedy is about connecting with the masses, not pandering to a small, constantly outraged minority. He tackles tough topics head-on, whether it's politics, religion, or cultural appropriation, because, as he sees it, if we can't laugh at our flaws, how will we ever learn from them? Take his take on political hypocrisy during the pandemic. While everyday people were stuck at home, unable to see dying relatives or attend funerals, politicians were hosting parties.
A friend as well as a colleague.
We have to make the case for freedom of movement.
We don't want open borders. Freedom of movement has gone and it's not coming back.
Cutting off power, cutting off water.
Well, I think that Israel does have that right. I was not saying that Israel had the right to cut off water, food, fuel or medicine. Wounded by the media, the Sun in this city, a hurt for this city. And I certainly won't be giving any interviews to the Sun during the course of this campaign.
Did you write an article for some newspaper the other day? Surely that's not going to gain you any support across the Northwest.
Would you write for them again, Sakir?
I would do, yeah.
Can you guarantee that under your leadership, the 2019 Labour commitments to nationalise water, energy, rail, the Royal Mail, they'll all be in Labour's next election manifesto?
I've made that commitment.
Bullshit.
Will you nationalise the big six energy companies? Yes.
To Eton as a qualification to run the country. I mean, now. So that's why I'm doing this as well, because I've noticed all around, you know, there's a lot of annoyance and frustration, totally justified as well, misinformation, anger. But I think the next pandemic is going to be like anxiety and depression, you know. God knows how it affects like teenagers who have had their, you know, some of the best years of their life.
Appropriation, the latest no-no. Now, again, in my day,
it was considered a good thing to swap ideas with other cultures, with other nations, to share things with other races, to assimilate. It was the opposite of racist. Now it's racist. Gwen Stefani got in trouble in her last video because she had her blonde hair in dreadlocks. People go, no, black people invented dreadlocks, you can't have them, you're white, that's racist. Jamie Oliver got in trouble when he put out authentic jerk chicken recipe. People go, no, black people invented that, you can't have it, you're white, that's racist. Now, black people, they use the N-word, don't they? We invented that. That's the one, isn't it? That's the one.
See, this is why a lot of people love Ricky Gervais.
It's this raw honesty that makes JY a nightmare for the establishment. He doesn't just reflect their hypocrisy, he shatters it right in their faces.
It's their own status, and they say it's because, no, we're protecting minorities. Like, they're basically saying minorities haven't got a sense of humour, which is so patronising. And I get that as well, to what it's like to be outnumbered. In this country, we're still only 5% black, 5% Asian, 5% LGBTQ, you know, tiny numbers. Now, I'm a white, heterosexual multi-millionaire, right? There's less than 1% of us.
Cultural appropriation is one of the top battlegrounds for woke culture.
Come on, Rick. Come on, Rick. Just keep I'm like Rosa Parks. Do you know what I mean? I'm like... Except I fought for the right to never have to take a seat on a bus. But...
Jerry has a blast with the topic of cultural appropriation, mocking the idea that sharing elements from different cultures is somehow offensive. In my day, he jokes, it was seen as a good thing to swap ideas with other cultures. Now it's labeled as theft. He highlights examples like Gwen Stefani wearing dreadlocks or Jamie Oliver cooking jerk chicken, poking fun at the idea that these acts are harmful. His sarcasm hits hard. So black people invented dreadlocks? Great. Can white people keep electricity? It's a sharp critique of the ridiculousness often behind these arguments. For Jerry, the real issue isn't cultural exchange, it's the self-righteous policing of it. But his harshest shots are reserved for virtue signaling.
Oh, this is the last time I'm hosting these awards, so I don't care anymore. I'm Jack with a morning show, a superb drama, a superb drama about the importance of dignity and doing the right thing, made by a company that runs sweatshops in China. So, well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service...
For Jerry, virtue signaling is a hollow exercise, a way for people to lift themselves up by tearing others down. They claim it's about protecting minorities, but he points out that, in reality, they're just calling minorities humorless. The patronizing attitude behind this infuriates him, as it suggests that certain groups can't handle jokes, reducing them to mere stereotypes. In contrast, Jerry treats everyone equally. He jokes about everyone, not because he doesn't care, but because he does. For him, humor is a powerful equalizer, a way to bridge gaps and foster understanding. Do I whine? No, he says, challenging the idea of taking offense over...
Don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award.
Not as much as Bruce Jenner. Now, I'd never heard that term, you know, before a day after the Golden Globes, and that was saying her old name and even acknowledging that she used to be a man. But she did. I saw him on the Olympic Games. It was decathlete, it was in everything, he was all over the place. Shot put and pole vault, he won a medal, he was famous, he was on telly all the time, but, you know, a big, famous man with a huge, I don't know, but I mean, I'm guessing he probably...